Merry Christmas. Kate and I are very happy to be with you here tonight as we come into a reflective space in this beautiful sanctuary on this Christmas night. So we'll begin with our chalice lighting and candle lighting.
These are Howard Thurman's words. I will light candles this Christmas, candles of joy despite all the sadness, candles of hope where despair keeps watch, candles of courage for fears ever present, candles of peace for tempest-tossed days, candles of grace to ease the heavy burdens, candles of love to inspire all my living, candles that will burn all year long.
On Christmas Eve, we celebrate new birth. Meister Eckhart, a medieval theologian, talks about three births. The first is physical, and the internal light of the Spirit rests in Jesus on Christmas and in anyone born of flesh and blood. In our second birth, we recognize this internal light and allow it to illuminate our path. And the third birth is the recognition that each birth is cosmic. that all creation is connected by the same stardust. In the darkness this night, we call forth the light. Our opening carol is numbered 224, Let Christmas Come. A reading titled Christmas by Meister Eckhart. What good is it to me if the birth of Jesus takes place unceasingly, but does not take place within myself? What good is it to me if the Creator gives birth to life if I do not also give birth in my time and in my culture? This, then, is the fullness of time, when the sacred child is begotten in us. Listen carefully. If this birth has taken place within you, then no creature can hinder you. Rather, every single creature points you towards the sacred and towards this birth. In whatever you see or hear, no matter what it is, you can absorb nothing but this birth. In fact, everything becomes sacred. That is the sign of your new birth. This is the fullness of time, when the sacred is begotten in you.
So we realize that this is usually considered the adult service. However, all of us, I think, feel the inner child inside us at this time of year. So we thought we would share a story with you tonight while we enjoy a little tea up here in front of you. So, this is a true story. It's based on a true story. Some of you may remember it from the news a number of years ago. And this is a lovely retelling of that story, really from the point of view of the owl. And we actually have an owl with us tonight. This is Kate's tree. So, yes, and my owl, who happens to look remarkably like the owl in the story. For a little tea.
Oh, thank you. So lovely. I'm so sorry, everybody.
We decided not to have cookies. That would be unfair. The Christmas Owl, based on the true story of a little owl named Rockefeller.
Once in a little town, in a little front yard, lived a little owl, high in the branches of a very big tree. For the curious little owl, not even a year old, the world was filled with wonder. Streams were for splashing, forests were for flying, and friends of all feather were merrily made.
One day, When winter had arrived, the town around her began to transform. Houses were decorated, lights were strung, jingles and music filled the icy air. Little Owl watched and listened, and that night, when darkness came,
the whole town glittered and glowed.
"What is going on here?" she asked her friends. "Christmas," said Moose. "And what is that?" Little Owl said. "Not sure," said Rabbit. "No idea," said Skunk. "No one knows," said Squirrel, "but it happens every year."
The next morning, confused as ever, Little Owl flew home, where she found some people standing around the big tree's trunk.
"It's beautiful," said one of them. "It'll be a perfect Christmas tree," said another. "A Christmas tree?" Little Owl wondered. "My home is Christmas?"
The workers began attaching wires and ropes to the tree. As Little Owl hid in the shadows, the branches pulled tight around her. She was trapped. Then she heard a roar. The tree shook, spinning and swaying. It was lowered down into a truck. Little Owl was dizzy. Is this Christmas?
"Say goodbye to our tree," someone called as the big truck rumbled away. "Your tree?" wondered Little Owl. "How could anyone own a tree?"
For hours and hours they drove. The cold wind rushed beneath her feathers. Little Owl was hungry, but there was nothing to eat. She was thirsty, but there was nothing to drink. She was lonely, and her friends were far, far away.
"Is this Christmas?" Pinned against the tree, she tried to sleep.
At last, 3 days later, the truck came to a stop. Again, the tree jostled and lifted. Then, all at once, its branches spread. Worn and weak, Little Owl edged out into the light. Where am I?
Below her, hundreds of people stomped and scowled, and cars clogged the streets. Above, strange towers scraped the sky. "This is not home." She tried to flap her wings, but she wasn't strong enough. As her eyes were closing, she saw...
There's an owl in here.
And there's no verses for this, but you can see a worker seeing the little owl and putting the little owl in a box and driving the box to a place where the box is exchanged with someone else.
When Little Owl awoke, she was in a box. It opened, and a new face peered inside. "Hello, little one. I'm Ellen. Let's get you inside."
And there's a sign that says Ravensbeard Wildlife Center. Whatever Christmas was, it seemed to have gotten inside the house.
The house was warm and cozy, and it seemed oddly to be made for birds. "Why are you here?" Little Owl asked. "Broken leg," said Hawk. "Broken wing," said Falcon. "But Ellen looks after us until we're ready to fly free again." After all this, Little Owl wondered, could a human really help?
Over the next days, Little Owl gulped down water and gobbled thawed mice. She was given an X-ray, and every day Ellen checked her feathers, eyes, and ears. Ellen is helping. Could Christmas be caring? Could Christmas be kind?
Ellen held Little Owl in her hand. "After all you've been through," she said, "it's a miracle you're alive." But was Little Owl ready to fly? "Almost," cried her new friends. Ellen smiled. "Almost," she said.
At last, At dusk on Christmas, they drove to the top of the mountain. Ellen lifted little Owl from the box and raised her arm. "You're free," she said. "Welcome home." For the last time, the friends looked at each other. Then little Owl flapped her wings and flew higher and higher into the sky.
But she wasn't going home just yet.
When at last she reached the very big tree, which was now a very big Christmas tree, she settled on her favorite branch. Bright and brilliant, the city was not what she remembered. The cars had disappeared. The great towers were merrily lit. The people were smiling and skating. Some were even singing. They held hands and hugged. All, it seemed, were eager to love. Is this Christmas? Yes, little Owl thought. It must be.
And the picture on this page is a beautiful lit tree of Rockefeller. For some time, little Owl sat basking in the golden glow. When at last the moon peeked above the buildings, she knew it was time to go home.
"You're back," her friends cried, gathering round. "And just in time for Christmas," squealed Moose. "Whatever that is," added Rabbit. "Actually, I may have learned something about it," said Little Owl, as they all nuzzled close. "Could you tell us?" "Of course," said Little Owl, knowing full well that this was Christmas too. So that's the story. And just so you know, this happened in November of 2020, so right in the middle of the pandemic. And there's a really sweet story in the back by one of the authors, the person who actually ran this wildlife center, and just that what it was like to watch that owl fly from her hands. Thank you.
And the people of New York City celebrated this.
We'll go to the Minister's Discretionary Fund each December, generally. The offerings go to this fund, which is used to support those in need, both within this congregation, but also in the wider community and world. So the ushers will come among you to receive the offering, and additional ways of giving will be projected. Please join me in our offering words. This fellowship is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. The wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it.
As Scripture said, was virgin born in a tiny shed, where simple shepherds stood on by, while heavenly sound filled up the sky. Now let us stand uncovered all before this crash in lowly stall, where kings and angels dignify God's gift, His Son, in humility. songs were sung, what starlight fell, oh, why the holy mystery stands for so many years in so many lands. We cannot tell, we do not know what star shone down so long ago, when Mary birthed her own sweet son, and peace and love became as one.
Thank you for your generosity on this beautiful night. So we have a little responsive reading that is a Christmas blessing by Reverend Mary Geer, who is the minister of the Olympia UU congregation. So you'll see the words projected, and the ones that are brighter up there are your words, and the slightly grayer ones are my words. So hopefully you'll be able to follow along. I'll start. The story tells of a woman heavy with child, traveling with her partner to be counted in a census declared by a distant ruler unaware of the lives disrupted or the life that is to come.
May those in power open their minds and hearts to the impact of their actions on others, and especially those who are unseen and undetected.
The story tells of too many people and not enough housing, so that the couple shelters in a stable with the animals.
May we know that there can be enough housing for all, housing that offers comfort, warmth, home.
The story tells of a baby born on a cold night, the birthing cries unrecorded, perhaps unheard. A child swaddled, loved, and warmed by his parents and the animals in the stable.
May the cries of all mothers be heard, and may all children born into this world be welcomed, warmed, and loved.
The story tells of a star bright in the night sky, heralding a message of new life, pointing the way to light, to hope.
May we have glimpses of the stars on these long, dark nights, and may we see in the starlight a message of life, of light, of hope. May this be so.
So the next song that you're going to hear tonight, I recently learned the story about it. It is in our hymnal, but I hadn't known where the words came from. So these are the words to I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. And they were written by Henry Longfellow. And they were indeed written on Christmas Day in 1863. Perhaps some of you recognize that 1863 was the middle of the Civil War, a time of great uncertainty and violence in this country, with brother and sister turned against brother and sister, and a time of personal tragedy for Henry Longfellow. He was mourning his wife's accidental death the year before so deeply that he feared he would have to enter an asylum. And at that time, his beloved 18-year-old son joined the Union Army as a soldier without the permission of his father, only to be severely wounded in November of that year. By Christmas of 1863, there was hope that he would eventually recover, although no certainty. And You'll be able to see the words. You can sing along if you want, or you can listen. Doug will be singing it as a solo. But we wanted you to be able to see the words because there is an extraordinary arc of both despair and hope if you listen closely.
I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth to all goodwill. I thought how as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth to all goodwill. And then despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth to all goodwill. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor does he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth to all goodwill. Till ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from day to day. A voice, a chime, a chant sublime, of peace on earth to all goodwill.
So you probably remember from our little story a few minutes ago that the little owl keeps asking, what is Christmas? Is this Christmas? So Kate and I wanted to reflect, each of us in our own ways, on our understandings of Christmas and how that's developed over our lives. So I'm going to share first, and then Kate is going to share. I do want to mention Carl Allen was supposed to be here tonight to read the beautiful little poem in between our readings, but he and Barbara both have really bad colds, and they did not want to come here and give that gift to you on Christmas Eve. And so I'm so happy. I was visiting Bob Francis and Anne Murphy earlier tonight when I found out that Carl wouldn't be able to come, and Anne graciously agreed. She's a poet, so I feel like it's very appropriate to share the poem in between our two reflections. Some of you who have known me for a while probably remember that I am a sixth-generation Unitarian on my mother's side. My parents divorced when I was a baby, and my Jewish father had converted to the Episcopal faith. You got that straight? So we've got the Unitarians, the Jews, and the Episcopals all in this story. And we have Kate, who is an Episcopal priest. Every other Christmas, I was either with my Unitarian mother and grandparents north of Chicago, or with my Episcopal father and his new family in Virginia. What this actually meant at Christmas Eve were two very different versions of Christmas, with some overlaps. And this eventually caused a certain confusion in my young mind, a little bit like that little owl. What is Christmas? My mother's parents in Chicago were completely secular, but like many good UUs, they adored Christmas. I don't know what it is about that, but especially the parts about the tree and Santa and presents. Christmas was a major affair in my grandparents' home. The Christmas tree was spectacular. And who doesn't love a good Christmas tree? My grandfather, a gentle pediatrician who actually despite being secular, was a devotee of St. Francis, dressed up as Santa Claus every Christmas Eve. And as the youngest of all the grandchildren by many years, it was my job to pretend that I did not know that Santa Claus was my grandfather. While my oldest cousins went outside in the snow to, quote, take water to the reindeer, they were probably out there smoking something. Strongly suspect. When I was with my father on the alternate Christmases, we would put on our best clothes late at night on Christmas Eve and drive to the truly midnight service at the 200-year-old Episcopal church they attended. Deep in the country, all the lights extinguished. In fact, I loved when I came in and saw the candelabras along the side, because what I remember in that church is that it was completely lit by candlelight, as it would have been 200 years before. It was magical, though I do remember being desperately sleepy in the warm sanctuary. And at the end of the service, after midnight, the priest, who was a friend of my father's, would stand at the doorway in his robes, quietly wishing everyone a Merry Christmas, before we headed out for the long drive home through the hills in the wee hours. Well, as I came into adolescence, perhaps because of this familial dissonance, I began to be very cynical about Christmas. I remember asking my mother why we celebrated Christmas if we weren't Christian. Apparently, we were the only non-Christians in the Bible Belt of Indiana. It honestly didn't make sense to me. What is Christmas? Is this Christmas? Then, revelation struck. I started to learn about the winter solstice. Here was a nearly universal experience, regardless of religion or belief, or even whether you're human or animal, the time of greatest darkness before the light returns. I learned that the tree and the candles and even Santa came from this older understanding, and I could celebrate the season wholeheartedly without feeling either cynical or hypocritical. And of course, every teenager hates being hypocritical. When I tried to introduce the idea of solstice to my mother's family as a 19-year-old, to say that it fell flat would be an understatement. Mysteriously, to me, they liked celebrating a Christian holiday as non-Christians, and they were not at all interested in some pagan meaning-making that the youngest member of the family was foisting on everyone else. So I went my own way, celebrating winter solstice every year rather than Christmas, thank you very much. In fact, I noticed that you do a winter solstice ceremony here, and I could be wrong about this, but I think maybe when I was here as an intern or when I came back, it might have been one of the first times that we did a winter solstice service as well as a Christmas Eve service. I mean, it's a little part of me is still here in that. So fast forward some 30 years from that sullen 19-year-old, and I am a baby minister in a vibrant UU congregation on the shores of the Salish Sea with their Calvinist-turned-Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Bruce Bodie. Yes. I was having a wonderful time that first autumn with all of you, and I really felt like I was doing the right thing with my life. But as the season turned, I began to dread Christmas Eve. Could I pull off Christmas if I didn't feel it? Would I discover that I really wasn't suited for ministry after all? In those days, there were 3 Christmas Eve services here, and as we began preparing for them, which felt a little like a cross between training for a marathon and designing 3 different major theatrical productions, and I saw Bruce's love for the holiday, for this holiday, and this congregation shine forth even after 40 years of ministry. You would think he might have gotten a little cynical in that time, but no, his heart was as open as a child's to the beauties of this time. And I started to catch the feeling of Christmas, the real feeling of Christmas, a spirit of care for each other and for the world, a spirit of community, and that community far beyond these walls, even and especially in hard times, a spirit of possibility. And in that possibility, I discovered that I too could embrace Christmas, could finally go beyond my adolescent angst and see the light in everything. So if you could come forward. Thank you so much for being willing to read.
How the Light Comes by Jan Richardson. I cannot tell you how the light comes. What I know is that it is more ancient than imagining, that it travels across an astounding expanse to reach us, that it loves searching out what is hidden, what is lost, what is forgotten, or in peril, or in pain, that it has a fondness for the body, for finding its way towards flesh, for tracing the edges of form, for shining forth through the eye, the hand, the heart. I cannot tell you how the light comes, but it does, that it will, that it works its way into the deepest dark that enfolds you, though it may seem long ages in coming, or arrive in a shape you did not foresee. And so, may we this day turn ourselves toward it. May we lift our faces to let it find us. May we bend our bodies to follow the arc it makes. May we open and open more and open still to the blessed light that comes. Merry Christmas.
When Florence and I were preparing for this service, we both decided we would share a Christmas memory or a feeling of what Christmas was about. So, here goes. One long ago Christmas started out with trepidation. This was to be my very first Christmas living in New York City. All the lights, the music, the excitement. And do you remember the Paul Winter concert? Well, it would be in the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, the biggest Gothic cathedral in the world, and it was filled. And at the end, he would have us sing like we were wolves. And he asked us to take that into the city. And this actually is true. On the subway going home, the only thing you could hear was, oh. So I had a problem. I was an only, and still am, an only child with a very sick mother back in Ohio. I decided that I had to make the long trek across Pennsylvania to Ohio. If any of you made it, it's the longest road in the world, during a major snowstorm. And driving most of the night through harrowing conditions. I mean, there were actually trucks that had turned over in the road. But I did arrive home, and it was bleak. My mother was sleeping, and she was extremely ill. There was no tree, no decorations. My father had purchased no food for a Christmas dinner, and we weren't going to go over to my cousin's house. And besides that, I had been traveling, and I was tired. But as the hours progressed, I told my father that I was going to a Christmas Eve service at the small church where I grew up in Ohio. I would see some old friends. And again, this is the people that I went to school with, so I was pretty excited. And to my surprise, my father, who was not much of a churchgoer, said he'd like to go too. So we bundled up, braved the Ohio snow, and traveled to this small, simple church to celebrate Christmas Eve. And as soon as we opened the door, it was like, I'm home, friends, warmth, community. And then the door opened again. And there was a woman coming in from the cold and the snow, holding a wee baby that looked like it was just born. And maybe 6 kids were trailing behind her. And they plopped down in the pew in front of my father and myself. And they squirmed. And they sneezed. And the baby cried and cried. They were outsiders, right? Didn't they know that the children's service was earlier? Well, here's the neat thing. There was a Franciscan leading the service, and I had not met him before. And my grandmother used to have a big cookie jar, big, chubby Franciscan with the brown robes. This guy just looked like the cookie jar. He came out. And he was really cheerful in his long brown robe. Yet, there was nothing sentimental about him or about the service. So his sermon was a story that has woven its way through the centuries. Here goes. Mary and Joseph were to leave their home in Nazareth in Galilee, which is in northern Israel. And they traveled on donkeys, not very comfortable, but the normal mode of transportation. And Bethlehem is in the south, and it's about 90 miles, folks. And Mary is pregnant. Ooh, right? Poor Mary. Why did they travel under those conditions? Because the Roman emperor who had conquered Palestine demanded that all subjects register in the father's homeland. It certainly made collecting taxes a lot easier. Well, the preacher went on, and the children in the row ahead of us continued to wiggle. And they seemed to enjoy, you know how you put your knee in the pew ahead of you, kneeing it? They were just watching the people ahead of them see what they were going to do. Well, the minister went on. Mary and Joseph reached Bethlehem, but they could find no one who would welcome them, except the poor animals and shepherds who saw this family as one of them, one of their own. And when Mary birthed the child, they opened their arms because this child brought light, because they saw the light and the love in this family, and they knew what a great gift had been given to them through this child. Now, the baby in the pew in front of us started wailing, 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 and appeared to be extremely hungry. The story moved on. King Herod, a puppet ruler of Judea, appointed by Rome, heard that a boy child was born in his territory, a child in diapers who would challenge his power and that of the empire. He was in a state of paranoia, and Herod decreed that all boys under the age of 2, they would be slaughtered. He ruled his people in fear, and his fear produced chaos. Now, the older children at this point, in the pew ahead of us, if I recollect it, began playing rock, paper, scissors, very loudly, but they were having fun. Nobody seemed to bother them. The pastor's story ended with Mary, Joseph, and their baby Jesus leaving their homeland and residing in Egypt. They had no jobs, no money, no protection. The parents migrated to keep their dearly beloved child safe. For you see, as would all of us, they would give up everything, even their country, for such a profound love. And here's what happened in the service and why I remember it so profoundly. This Franciscan, looking like the cookie jar, called the mother and the child to the front of the church. And he asked the mother the child's name. And then, calling the baby's name, he asked that the mother hold up the child so that the whole community could see. And this pastor said that we were celebrating this night not as a story, but as an honoring of the birth of this young baby who came into our door and into our community this night. This screaming, hungry child had the divine light in him. And then he invited this family, if they were not simply moving through, to come and be with us because they were welcome, and that Christmas was every day that we welcome light and love and new birth. Well, there was a silence in the church, and then one hand clapped, and another hand clapped, and then all of a sudden everyone was clapping, and they were accepted, no matter what the crying. And the mother smiled. And when my father and I went home that night, we knew that we had indeed experienced the Christmas story. And despite the sadness in our home, we had Christmas light to share. There is a short period of silence. And as both Florence and I did, reflecting on a time in our Christmas past, we invite you to reflect on a precious moment in the past or a current challenge of this moment, and allow Christmas light to surround and enter your heart. So, if you want to close your eyes or just go into a state of quiet. So pull yourself back. And if something has opened in your heart, Christmas is a season. Go back and reflect it. Open it up again. Maybe it's not finished this evening, and it's something you need to continue reflecting or thinking about or asking the community to help you with. Our next hymn is Go Tell It on the Mountain. And it is one of my favorites. Some of you know I attended a seminary which was formed for students of color, and they let me in. And I can tell you that that group of folks told me that when you sing this song, there's a black way of singing it and there's a white way of singing it. And they told me very truthfully that I did not and never should touch a tambourine again. So, if you want to clap your hands, do a little dancing, or just lift your voice to tell the story in your own way, well, just go ahead. Yeah, Unitarians, it can be done. So, I would love it for my Christmas present if we all sang this as wonderfully as we can with our own gifts. And don't forget the rhythm. The song was composed around 1850 and was understood as a hymn of liberation. It was sung during the Civil War and was part of the oral tradition, often sung in the fields. It was sung during the civil rights movement as a call for justice. So let's do it. Carol 239, Go Tell It on the Mountain.
Thank you for that enthusiasm. So, in my script it says candle lighting instructions, but I'm guessing most of you know how to do this even more well than we do. So, but I'll just go through it for anybody who's doing this for the first time. So we'll have a blessing in just a moment, one from Kate and one for me, and then we will close with Silent Night, because as far as I can tell, there is no Unitarian Universalist congregation anywhere in the world that wants to end Christmas Eve services in any other way other than singing Silent Night after lighting candles. So we will be doing that. This is our great tradition. So ushers will light your candle from the Christmas candle, and then you pass the flame to the person next to you, and each person will pass it forward down the aisle. So we do the candle lighting in silence. So once it's clear that everyone has their candle, then we will sing the various verses of Silent Night. Most of us know just the first one, but all the words will be there. And then about the third verse, the ushers will indicate when your row is to stand and exit. You can extinguish your candle then, or you can keep it lit carefully, and then there'll be baskets that you can put your candle in outside the doors. So, Kate, you want to come forward, offer the first blessing?
I also wanted to make sure we thank Pat and Doug for the music tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And our readers.
And our readers. So, Christmas blessings. May Christmas light surround you and your loved ones, and may we all hold each other close. May our earth know joy, and may we rejoice. And may the gift of Christmas bless us with peace.
And I also want to offer a blessing to those who are watching online tonight. I know it includes Carl and Barbara, but I'll bet there's some other people out there too. So to all of you, these blessings are to you as well. We opened this service with words from the great Reverend Howard Thurman, who is the founder of the first intentionally interracial church in America, the Church for the Fellowship of All Peoples in San Francisco. And I'd like to offer a few of his words in closing as a blessing and call to action for all of us, except that they're not in there. Let's see.
You haven't memorized them?
There we go. I should have them memorized. I love these words. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among brothers, to make music in the heart. And we'll now begin our candle lighting. wish you could see how beautiful you all are in the candlelight.
Amen.